Hey friends, today I've got a build that can get us our super ability blazingly fast. I'm talking 0 to 100 in less than a minute. On top of that, our super is going to last longer. In the right circumstances, we could be in our super more often than we aren't. This build focuses on an exotic that Xur is selling called Fang Pauldron. It's an exotic arm piece for Titans that has a couple of key perks. The first is its insane super ability generation, and the second is its ability to extend the Void Sentinel shield super. This exotic does it all for us Void Titans. Let's first take a look at how it can get our supers so fast. This exotic perk is called Horns of Doom, and it says it gives super energy with Void melee kills. And to be specific, it gives a whopping 20% super energy with charged Void melee kills, such as Shield Bash or the newer Shield Throw ability. So only 5 kills with either of those, and you have enough to get a full supercharge. So our ability to get our super is tied directly to how efficiently we can get our melee ability charged up. And that's the true heart of this build. Let's start with a solid foundation on our subclass. We will, of course, be using the Titan's Void subclass. And we'll be sure that we're on the Sentinel shield super ability. For our class ability, Rally Barricade has a shorter cooldown, so we can use that with the Outreach mod more often, but in harder difficulties, Towering Barricade is generally more helpful. Both of our melee options are good. Shield Bash has some nice AoE damage and suppression that we could use with the Fragment Echo of Leeching to get healed as we Shield Bash enemies. But Shield Throw allows us to play safer, but lacks that AoE damage. Instead of Echo of Leeching, I would go with the Fragment Echo of Expulsion, so the Shield Throws will cause enemies to explode. For grenades, I like the Vortex Grenade for its high overall damage, which combined with the Fragment Echo of Provision gives us valuable melee energy. For aspects, we want the combination of Bastion to give us an overshield and Offensive Bulwark to give us a 400% grenade recharge rate while we have an overshield. Offensive Bulwark also gives us increased melee damage while we have an overshield, and that can help with getting our melee kills for the Doomfang more consistently. It's really disappointing to use our melee charge and not get the credit, because we just didn't do enough damage. That combination of aspects means that we have a third fragment slot for Echo of Exchange to get grenade ability energy with melee damage. This will create one of the first of our ability feedback loops alongside Echo of Provision. Next, we'll be looking at weapons and armor to build upon our subclass. To start off, we want 100 strength to get our melee cooldown timer as low as possible, then 100 resilience to make our class ability come back faster, which we can combine with that mod Outreach on an R class item to get 16% melee energy when we use our class ability. If you're newer to the game and don't have many of the combat style mods I'll be talking about later on in this video, it would also be worth adding melee kickstart to a stasis affinity Doomfang, but that's something we're going to grow out of pretty quickly. On arc legs, we can use Invigoration to get 10% melee energy every time we pick up an Orb of Power, and while we're on the subject of Orbs of Power, let's quickly talk about some guns. This season we have a new perk that really helps with our melee ability generation, Pugilist, which gives 10% melee energy with every kill you get with that weapon. Yesteryear is the only Void weapon that can get this perk. Having that would be nice because we could use Harmonic Siphon, which only costs 1 energy. But there's some other really good options to call out as well. Such as in the kinetic slot, we've got Boudica C and Smite of Moraine, which can roll with Pugilist and Swashbuckler. With that combination of perks, as we get melee kills, we will instantly be getting a 33% damage buff to those weapons, which allow us to get kills faster so that Pugilist is kicking in sooner. Unfortunately, I don't have any of these rolls right now, so the gameplay you'll see me using Braytech Werewolf with Pugilist and a Kinetic Siphon on my helmet. So far, we've built a few tools to help us get our melee ability back. Grenade damage, casting our class ability, picking up Orbs of Power, and kills with a Pugilist weapon. But for you veterans out there, we've got a combination of Charge with Light and Elemental Well mods that can bring down the time it takes to get our super from minutes to seconds. We'll be focusing on Heavy Handed, which is an Arc Charge with Light mod that gives us 50% melee energy every time we use our melee ability and have a stack of Charge with Light. To get stacks of Charge with Light, we can use a combination of Elemental Charge and Melee Wellmaker. Then for our last 2 combat style mod slots, we can use Bountiful Wells and a second copy of Melee Wellmaker. Now, if we're Charged with Light, our next charge melee kill will immediately give us 50% of our melee ability energy back, and then create 3 Void Elemental Wells. Picking up those wells give us 30% ability energy to all of our abilities, so that's 80% of our ability energy back immediately after getting a kill. Then to get that last 20%, we can either cast a Barricade to get that 15% melee energy, or use a Grenade, or simply use our Pugilist weapon. The tricky part is getting that first stack of Charge with Light to kick us off. Luckily, our subclass actually gives us a rather obscure way of getting our first charge. Turns out, while Offensive Bulwark is empowering our melees, even our uncharged melees will cause Melee Wellmaker to create elemental wells. So to start off our loop, we'll enter a room with enemies, use our Barricade to get an Overshield, and while we have that Overshield, any uncharged melees will give us our first stack of Charge with Light. Then we can throw or bash enemies and start our loop until we get our super. But remember how I said Doomfang Pauldron also extends our supers? Well, Horns of Doom has a second part to its perk. While in our super, kills with our shield throw ability extend our super, and Offensive Bulwark gives us a second shield throw, meaning twice as many opportunities to extend the super. So once our super starts to run down, we can throw a couple of shields to extend it. And then every super light attack will give us shield throw charge, which we can throw to further extend our super. The goal is to keep the fun going as long as possible, and when it finally does run out, well, you know what to do. This build is incredibly fun if you like ad clearing rooms full of enemies, but if you're looking for a Void Titan build that's a little more suited to harder content like GMs, check out this build right here.